Welcome back to the garage. So, the bike's been sat for several weeks. I've just not had time to do anything on it. I want to get some time booked in with a welder because I've bought some components to be able to change the subframe, the suspension, and give it more of a cafe racer feel. Because this angle here and that angle there on the tank, they just don't work for me. I think it all needs to follow up that way. So I've bought some bits to be able to do that. But until I can book some time in with a welder, we've got to address some little niggles. One of them is the hose for the overflow, that's perished, so it's leaking a bit and I've got some drips on the floor. I need to change the right hand controls because the starter button just fell apart, the spring flew out. So yeah, I need to get on top of that. That is going to involve taking off the tank because all the connections in the loom are under the tank. And I also want to remove these handlebars and fit some clip-ons just to get the stance looking a bit right. I also, I tell you what, I'm going to try and get the headlight fitted as well, or at least start thinking about that. I've got no bracket to hold it onto the bike, so I'll probably just repurpose the previous brackets for the headlight. They're in a bit of a bad state, so I'll probably need to get a wire brush on those and repaint them for the time being. I have had some other thoughts about how to fit the headlights. I like the idea of going down the 3D printed route, but there's two problems with that. A, I don't know anything about 3D printing, and B, don't know how to model for that. That's one thing to look into. I've met someone who knows a bit about it, so that's some discussions for another time. But I thought it'd be quite cool to, there's basically bolts on the bottom yoke and the top yoke. Might be nice to create some sort of brackets which could be mounted to those that the speedo and the headlight could be fitted to, so we don't have to connect anything other than the handlebars to these forks. It might look a bit cleaner. I was thinking about cleaning the bike up, but I don't think there's any point yet until it's all kind of where I want it to be. So yeah, I guess let's get cracking. Right, so step one. Need to get the controls off the bars, need to remove the bars, and only then will I be able to muck about with the forks in the yokes. I can't raise the forks to lower the bike because the bars are in the way, and I can't fit the clip-ons until these are off the bars. So I've got my Allen key, got a Stanley knife, gonna cut off the cable ties, loosen the hand controls. There's only one Allen key on each. I've already done this one. You can see it twist about. So I only need to do this one. Hopefully we can shimmy them off. So that is now off. I'm going to try and take these things out. I think to do that I've just got to loosen these. Decided I'm going to just jam the socket into the old handlebars to give me some extra leverage, and happy days, it seems to have worked. So I'm going to try and loosen up the other side as well. Come on. There we go. Huzzah! So now, the bottom of the forks move, and the tops do not. Come on. So we've reached a bit of an impasse with the bike. According to the service manual, removing the caliper and the wheel will allow you to spin the forks to encourage it to get out of the yokes, but that's not the case. So I'm going to park it here for a bit, and I'm just going to keep coming back and putting some penetrant into all the sort of crevices and stuff, and hopefully that'll start to ease off and I'll be able to get the forks out. Welcome back. It's been a week. Every day I've been coming in here and I've been spraying penetrant into the yokes to try and ease it up. I did have a go with a socket that I've got. It's 41mm external diameter, so it fits perfectly into the yokes, and I was using that to sort of knock it down. I have managed to get the forks down about 10 mil. It's taken a bit of persuasion. Annoyingly though, the thickness of the socket, it's about 1 mil too thick. So as I was hammering it in, I thought it was hitting the top, just the stanchions and not these adjustment bits in the middle. But it was actually hitting those, and it's knocked them into the stanchions a bit. If anyone knows how much of a problem that is, let me know in the comments. But what I've got to do, because it's just not coming off, what I need to do is, I think, take a notch out of that socket so that it doesn't hit these internals. So I'm going to go and do that now, and we'll come back and try and knock these through. Right, so hopefully now the grooves I've cut out will sit nicely over the internals of the fork, and we should just be able to knock these out. So I'm just going to get my hammer and we'll start swinging. Yes! Doesn't seem to be making the problem any worse, which is good. Yes! I love the sound of progress. Oh, it's only took a week or so. I'm only going to dry my face. I'm sweating really badly. So finally, forks are off. The bottom yoke might have been the culprit. It looks like there's a lot of corrosion in there. The tops don't look too bad. And when you look at the forks themselves, it's feels okay until you get to where the bottom yoke was, and it's really, really rough. So while these are off, I'm going to give them a clean up, and then I'll do the same with the insides of these, and hopefully they'll go back in a bit better. Right, everything is out. I've cleaned it all up. The stanchion is rough. Okay for now for putting back in to just get like a rolling chassis, but I am gonna, when it's time to beautify the bike and get it all like refinished and stuff, I'm gonna replace those stanchions for some fresh ones that I know are straight. Now I mentioned that because I've only got one fork here. The other one is currently at a machine shop. I tried to fit the 41mm clip-ons that I bought, but it turns out that these fork stanchions are actually 41.3mm. So I've tracked down a local machine shop, and they've said they could just mill out the clip-on part. So I can't fit the clip-ons, but what they did identify is that the fork I gave them as a reference point is bent. And that would explain why it was such a job to get these forks off. Now I've had a look at this one and I'm pretty sure it's straight, but it's still a bit of an effort to get it back in. So as I say, these will be replaced with some fresh ones, and hopefully that means it will be easier to put it all back together. Whilst the forks are off, I've given everything a clean. I'll just put some little B-roll out, just showing befores and afters. Everything's come out quite nicely. So I'm hoping when I do put it back together, everything will look a hell of a lot nicer. All I did was just kind of get a Scotch pad, stick these in a drill and spin them round, and they've come up really nice. I know new bolts are like a couple of quid. I'm trying to do maths now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9. That's 9. It's like 18 quid. Saved about 18 quid. So happy with that. What I did do is I cold blued the bolt and the washer that go in the spindle. It's a treatment that they do to firearms. It's like a black oxide finish. I use this stuff. It's called Birchwood KC Super Blue. Weirdly, it didn't work out very well on the washer. I don't know why. I've given it a good clean. I soaked it in alcohol before, but it doesn't seem to be wanting to stick to certain parts of this, so it might need just a bit of a better clean. Excellent news. We have the forks back. The clip-ons fit. They've been machined out by 0.3mm. So let's get these forks put back on. Let's get the wheel put back on. Let's start making some progress. Slightly. It doesn't like it though. Can't get that any higher to match this one, so maybe I've just got to lower that for the time being and accept it for what it is. Welcome back. What a job that was. We've found out that the right one's bent, the left one's straight, yet the right hand fork wanted to move up and down in the yokes easier than the left hand fork. So I don't know if that means the top yoke is bent or not, but for now that's fine. The ambition is to get this in a position where we can move it around again. Clip-ons I've had to fit quite wide because the bump stops need adjusting basically, so they have to be in this position, otherwise they'll hit the tank. We will sort that out in another video. I've replaced the right hand controls because the starter button had broken off. I'll show you on screen now the two differences. The previous ones are so faded, so it's looking like I might have to buy a brand new second-hand left-hand control off of eBay just to sort of visually they match, because at the moment one looks just wrecked compared to the other one. I wanted to fit the headlight, didn't I? So I'm going to reuse the old bracket for now. I did talk about a different solution for the front, but let's just get it on and see how it looks, I think. So let's get over to the bench and get that cleaned up. The brackets are all painted, so let's get them fitted. So, headlight. I was going to try and wire it in, but these have got bullet connectors and I've run out of those, so I'm just going to sort of mount it up for the time being. I think that's cool. I mean, it's pretty wonky, but I think that's because these brackets are bent. That will do for now. Me likey. We'll get this out in the light and we'll have a look at it. Right, turns out I didn't wheel it outside. I've been in here so long that it's gone dark, so I can't really show you. So I've just jiggled things about in the garage and put it on its side stand. So hopefully you can see the side a bit better. I've had to zoom right out, so there's a bit of warpage from the lens, which doesn't really do it justice, but it's starting to look really, really cool. So lunchbox aside, there's some lines starting to appear on the bike. What I was really wanting is to sort of get the top of the headlight sort of near enough in line with the tank. I think that's working, but to get the headlight lower, I flipped the brackets upside down, and that's actually, the line from the bottom of the bracket lines up with this part of the tank here. So really happy with that. One of my issues with this bike is that the tank kind of goes up this way and then the subframe comes down there. So we are going to change that. I've got a new rear loop. Let me just go and get it. So I don't know how well you can see this. This is a 600mm rear subframe with a 30-degree upsweep. The 30 degrees should correspond quite nicely to this angle in the tank here. So if I kind of, I'm just trying to get it in a rough position, but when that's welded on, we should start to see some symmetry in the line as well on this end of the bike. So it's all starting to come together. We also talked about fixing the hose on this coolant overflow reservoir doodah, but it all appears to have just drained out anyway. So I just thought I'd just leave it. And I also said it'd be nice to start the bike, but do you know what? I think there's been enough content for this video anyway, and it'd be nice to do something a bit more involved on that. So in the next episode, we're going to start the bike up again. We're going to do some compression tests before we strip the bike down completely. Yeah, that would be a good place to start. And then we'll do a tear down, and then we'll look at getting this subframe chopped off and welded on. Okay, bye.